Module 14.2, question words. And in this module, we're going to look at some of the more complicated question words, and that will certainly also increase your capability to make Xhosa conversations. Our first question word here you've already come across, which is Bani, which means who. But the way it's often used is by adding a ngu in the front, which actually makes it similar to the English whom, Ngubani. And we've already come across Ngubani igama lako from the previous session, whom is the name of yours. And very useful also, Ngubani kanene, when you've already met somebody and you just want to be reminded of their name. What's interesting is that when we ask for the time, that time is actually personified. And so we're actually asking who is the time, Ngubani ixesha. Another useful construct is adding na to the front of the Bani, nabani, which means with who. Ufuna ukuthetha nabani, so if you're answering a phone, who do you want to speak to? Or uhlala nabani, who do you live with? Useful question if you're a doctor or a social worker. Now we've already come across P, and there's different ways in which P can be used. So the one we're already aware of is asking in terms of where. And these are very common questions where P is used, and often the P is added to that A of the verb to almost make one word. So uyapi, where are you going? Ubelapi is where do you come from, and it can only mean where have you just come from or where have you arrived from. Uhlalapi is where do you stay. But if you want to ask where somebody grew up or where they might have originated from, usukapi, which looks at the place where their parents, for example, is from. Ufundapi, to ask whether somebody is studying or going to school or at university. Or if you want to ask specifically where somebody is learning isiXhosa, or you might get asked the question, usifundelapi isiXhosa. And then lastly, asking where somebody works, usebenzapi. And you'll notice with all of these that the P goes at the end of the sentence. But P is also useful when you're asking about a specific item, and here there's a slight change. So the P goes on the front of the sentence, and it takes the subject concord of the specific noun that you are referring to. So if we just look at a few examples, so quite often we might be looking for a person, whether it's a child or the doctor or a person. Upi umtwana, where is the child? That's a class 1. Bapi abantwana. So just remember that ba in the front of the P is referring to the class 2 noun of abantwana. I'm in the classroom. Lipi ipepa. Ipepa is a class 5 noun, so that li belongs to ipepa. Api amapepe. Where are the papers? Class 6 noun. Common ones are our class 9 and 10, all our borrowed words. Ipi ipen. So if you're unsure, you can just use ipi for the singular. Or for plurals, zipi ipen. That's z again referring to our class 10 noun. And just another example for a class 14 noun, which is ukucha, which means food. Kupi ukucha, and that ku is the subject concord for class 14. A nice word to use in conversations is ndawoni, which means whereabouts. So for example, somebody might say, Ndihlala eMonti, I live in East London, and then you can simply ask ndawoni, which means whereabouts. Or you could make it into a full sentence, Uhlala ndawoni eMonti, so whereabouts in East London do you live? And then the answer tends to start with a ngase, which literally means nearby. So if you don't want to give an exact address, but just want to say in the vicinity of or nearby, ngase crossways. There are a few different ways of asking why, but the most common and easiest one is Kutheni, and this is often coupled with the little word nje, which can mean, for example, so, or the Afrikaans ne. And just notice Kutheni there goes in the front of the sentence. So Kutheni ulayiti nje, why are you so late? Or Kutheni ufunda isiXhosa, why are you learning Xhosa? And when you answer a question like that, most often it's going to start with the word kuba, which means because. So kuba ndiyathanda ukuthetha isiXhosa because I like to speak isiXhosa. Ngapi is slightly more complicated, and we can use kangapi either to ask how many, or we can add ka to the front and ask how often. And the complication is with the construct for how many, as it gets quite complicated on the concord that you use when you construct the sentence. I think what's probably the easiest is to learn the two constructs, the one for class 2, bangapi abafundi. So we always use ngapi in context with plural verbs because it's always more than one. So in this case, how many students are there? But we can also use bangapi when we're asking, for example, how many children there are or how many patients are waiting, etc. The other useful construct is for 10. So those are often borrowed words, ipilis. And you can see here it's using the adjectival concord ezingapi. So usela ipilis ezingapi ekuseni. How many pills do you drink in the morning? Kangapi is much simpler, as you simply add a ka to the front to create the word how often. So ugaba kangapi ngemini. These are for our doctors. How often do you vomit in the day? And you can also use the word kohlela or fits, etc. Or you could ask utya kangapi ngemini. So how often do you eat every day? And what makes it really easy is to be able to listen for the answer. They will simply add a ka to the front of the numerical stem. So kanye is once a day, kabini 2 times, katatu 3 times, kane 4 times, and kahlanu 5 times. So nditya katatu ngemini, I eat 3 times a day. Learn all these question words well, and they will certainly start making your conversations much easier.